What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the PikaPikaPaPa, and I am so freaking pumped to bring you guys this video today. And it's not just because it is littered with amazing pieces of cardboard, awesome art, awesome Pokemon, and it's not just because I think there is a ton of upside in all of these cards, but it's really because this is something you all asked for. So I recently did a 10 under 10 video a couple weeks ago, and I said, hey, in my research for this, I found a lot of cards under $5 as well that piqued my interest. If you guys find that fascinating, let me know in the comments down below and I'll do a video about it. I got an overwhelming response of people who were interested in that, so I spent the last couple weeks doing some research, doing some digging, and here we are today. Now, with that being said, you know I'm a collector first and foremost, so when I come to building a list here of this, there's 9 cards on this, so my 9 cards under 5. First and foremost, I gotta love the artwork. Like, look at the 3 cards on the slide right here. These are beautiful pieces of art, right? So, but I also, from a collecting investing standpoint, I don't just want to fall in love with them from a beauty perspective. I also want to feel really good about the opportunity for these cards to possibly appreciate over time, right? It's kind of like when you're picking a life partner, a husband, a wife, or whatever. They have to be beautiful to you, but you also want some substance, right? You don't want to talk to a doorknob the rest of your life. So you're looking for beauty. You're also looking for the whole package, and that's what we're looking for here. Now, how do we narrow that down? Because we all know there's an infinite number of cards that are under $5 in the Pokemon space, and most of them are beautiful. So when I'm looking to narrow this list down, there's a couple things. I'm looking for them to come from an undervalued set or era, right? We've talked a lot about the focus on ultra modern right now. Some of these cards, like the 3 on this, I wouldn't consider them ultra modern. So I'm looking for cards that are a little bit older because at some point the market is going to rotate, right? The focus is going to go from ultra modern. It'll probably start in the black and white, XY, whatever, even the older generations. So I'm looking for undervalued cards there because I think that they're going to pop off at some point. The other thing that I'm looking at is top 20 cards. Now, the reality is, since all of these cards are at or below $5, it is going to be really, really hard to find top 20 cards because most top 20 cards are more than $5. But what we can do is we can look at similar cards in that top 20 list and see how they performed in the past. We've done a lot of research on this in this channel over the last 6 months, and we've gotten some really good leads and some really good results by doing that. The other thing that I look at is top types of cards and historical performance, right? So EX, GX, full arts, trainers. I look at Black Star promos, like cards from certain boxes. Like, we look at all of these different factors in order to understand, hey, do these cards have the opportunity to go maybe from a $5 card to a $7 card to a $9 card to an $11 card? All of these things matter. And the last thing that we look at is grading volume. I'm telling you, I just got done putting the bow on the grading video for this month. It's going to drop on Wednesday. It is fantastic. There is amazing information in there. For whatever reason, it never gets a ton of views, but I'm telling you right now, if you are serious about collecting and investing in the Pokemon space, it's a video you don't want to miss. Nobody else talks about it in the Poke space, and that is one of the benefits of being here in the PikaPikaPaPa family. Now, speaking of benefits of being in the PikaPikaPaPa family, if all of this due diligence, if all this research gets you excited, I would love it if you hit the subscribe button. I do a ton of work. There's no better way to say thank you to me than hitting that subscribe button. And if you get into this video and you like what you see, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. If you have questions or comments, or for this video, if there's a card under $5 that you really love, drop it down below. I read all of them. I respond to them personally. And without further ado, now that that's out of the way, let's get into this awesome list of cards. Now, I highlighted this card first because it checks all of the boxes that we just talked about. So this is the Umbreon GX from the Sun and Moon base set. So when I look at Sun and Moon base, I compare it to the Sword and Shield base. And for whatever reason, the Sun and Moon booster box prices are nothing compared to the Sword and Shield booster box prices. And when I look at the Sun and Moon base set, you've got the evolutions, right? You got Umbreon in there. You've got some awesome full art trainers in there. I think that the cards from the Sun and Moon base set absolutely blow the Sword and Shield base set out of the water. But for whatever reason, the market hasn't seemed to found that or caught on to it. So this checks that big underappreciated set box. The other thing is this Umbreon GX right here. There's an Umbreon GX full art that is already at $12, and this one is coming in at $4.52. So there's already a precedence for a card similar to this with similar art, obviously the exact same Pokemon, all the way up at $12. This card has been flat over the last 12 months for all intents and purposes, but it has shown collector interest in the $6 range. So you'll see it's been flat, it's been up, it's been down, it's been all over the place. You're going to hear me talk about this a lot in the video. When I'm looking at lower dollar cards like this, I like to see a lot of interest, right? I like to see a lot of price movements because that tells me that there's a frothy market for people to buy this. The other thing, Umbreon is a top 5 most graded Pokemon. Tons and tons of interest in it. Now, this card's obviously from 2017. The PSA 10 population is relatively low, at 360. Since it's from 2017, the PSA 10 population will grow, but it's not going to grow by leaps and bounds. And you can get PSA 10s right now for about $60. I think that is awesome. PSA 9 population comes in at 439 and a total pop of right over 1100. Basically, that tells me not a lot of these have been submitted for grading. So this could be an opportunity. If you're a grader like I am looking for some great copies of this. I would love to send them in. I think this is going to appreciate from a single perspective. I think it's going to appreciate from a raw perspective, and I think it's going to appreciate from a graded perspective. I let off with this because I think this card is an absolute freaking home run. Now, next card on this list, Rayquaza. Listen, in my 10 under 10 list, I called out a black and white Black Star Pro row of this, and I'm going to tell you right now, I am all in on the Rayquaza train. Like, I think it is taking off like a rocket ship. And again, I just got done with that grading card video, so there is proof to back up this claim of mine. Like in April, Rayquaza was the number 4 most graded Pokemon. In May, it was number 6. I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on. People are piling in on this Pokemon, and I love it. I love this artwork. And listen, when you look at the price chart right there, you'll see lots of undulation, so lots of interest. It has been a slow and steady up and to the right growth. I love seeing that in these cards because I feel like when I have seen patterns like this in the past, that leads to an eventual big breakout. Like there's enough interest, it's slowly going up, something's going to catch fire and this card's going to pop at some point. This card's from 2012, has a PSA 10 population of 228, going for about $100. So, it's a good price for a PSA 10. PSA 9 pop is 291. The total pop is 651. So not a lot of these have been graded in general. Again, it's really hard to find these cards in gem mint copies if you're buying them raw on eBay. It's from 2012. People didn't care quite as much about the quality back then as they do now. So finding these raw in mint value is very, very hard to do. But if you can find it and you can get it graded, I think this is a awesome card. Also love the set. Dragons Exalted is just a freaking amazing set. And this is one of the ones where I really think in time people are going to realize it. And this whole set is going to pop the heck off. All right. Next, excuse me. Next on this list is this Blastoise EX from XY promos. On my 10 under 10, I had a Pokemon X or a Pikachu XY promo as well. I think the XY promos are so undervalued. We have so many sets in the XY era that are doing really, really well, and for whatever reason, a lot of these promos just haven't caught fire, and I think the market is going to rotate, and I think these cards are going to do really, really well. Look at that PSA 10 population for this card. 2014, which isn't that old, PSA 10 population of 81, and you can get this card in PSA 10 for $100. Man, it is hard for PikaPikaPapa not to pull the trigger. That is a infinitely small PSA 10 population. $100 is really, really good. PSA 9, 123. Total pop only 305. Not many of these have been graded. This card has popped the heck off over the last 6 months. It hasn't done this straight up process. It has been a little bit of a stair step. I would rather see a stair step than something go straight up and then flatten out. I think this grading path is really good. I think that the price appreciation path is really good. Blastoise is always one of the top graded Pokemon. I think this card checks all of the boxes to be on this list, and I am actively going after and buying it. Not only that, look at the freaking artwork. Like, the artwork on this card is absolute fire. I love everything about this one, and I was really excited to find this and add it on the list. Now, these two cards right here, again, we've talked about Ultra Modern, we've talked about the focus on Ultra Modern. Here we are right here. Now, I know Lost Origin, everybody's talking about it's going to get reprinted or restocked, or I'm kind of holding off, not on buying the cards, I'm holding off on rendering judgment until I understand exactly how big and how much of an impact this is going to have on the singles market. Obviously, it's going to have an impact on the sealed market, but with Brilliant Stars, we didn't see a lot of crazy impact on the singles market when they did this restock or refresh or whatever. Like the big chase card, the Charizard V Alt Art, it was already on the downward and to the right trajectory. We didn't see it take a huge nosedive or anything, so I'll be interested to see how the Lost Origin singles perform. And either way, this card in the $4 range is an absolute steal. I love this Trainer Gallery card. It has a population of 1,400 and it is still going for $50 in PSA 10. PSA 9 population of 2,000. When I see an ultra modern card like this and a PSA 9 population is bigger than the PSA 10 population, it makes me think that it's a little bit of a tougher card to grade, right? Because most of these people nowadays, including myself, were very, very grade conscious. We're cognizant of the corners, we're cognizant of the centering, so a lot of people aren't sending in unworthy cards to PSA to get graded. So when I see a PSA 9 population greater than a PSA 10, it makes me think this is a little bit of a harder card to get in a PSA 10. So the odds of me buying them raw, especially buying them off of eBay and sending them in, I think are relatively small. So this might be a card where it checks the box for me just to go ahead and buy it for $50 in a PSA 10. Listen, I also think Lost Origin is going to do what Lost Origin is going to do, even with a restock reprint. So I'm not concerned about about the long-term value of this. I think this is epic artwork. And then on the right, the Charizard V-Star from Crown Zenith. What I thought was really interesting for this is the low overall total PSA population of 1,200. Now, again, I just got done doing the grading card video, which is going to drop on Wednesday. Crown Zenith is one of the most graded sets in all of the Pokemon space, in all of the TCG space, not just Pokemon, TCG as a whole. Crown Zenith is one of the top graded sets. So it's really interesting for me to see all of the other cards besides this getting pushed through to get graded. Now, that doesn't mean that people aren't going to realize how awesome this card is. It's not going to catch fire, and PSA isn't going to get flooded with them. But for right now, at a PSA 10 population from a brand new card at 828, I think is a absolute bottom barrel population. Going for 50 bucks, both of these cards are obviously Charizards. Charizard is the #1 graded Pokemon. He has been every single month since we started tracking this. So I think these cards under $5 have a lot of upside. I also think Crown Zenith is going to end up being one of the top sets. So two of the top sets, the #1 Pokemon, two epic pieces of artwork. I was pumped to be able to add both of these to this list. All right, this is something I would never typically have on this list. It's a Charmander, it's not a Charizard, and it's a General Mills promo. Now, before I get into this, I'm going to tell you why I'm hesitant to do, I don't want to call it, it's not a gimmick card, right? But it's a secondary card. In the sports card space, when you look at the 60s and the 70s, we won't talk about the 80s because the 80s was the junk wax era, but when you look at the 60s and 70s, there were a lot of cards that were similar to this. They were made by General Mills or Kellogg's or your local gas station even, so their population is much, much smaller. But the base set cards always outperform these secondary gimmicky cards. Now, I think it's because people more care about the base sets. They want the original, they want the name brands, and I understand that this isn't a fair comparison, but when I look at things over the long run, these don't typically perform as well. So who knows what it's going to do in the long run, but I will say this card is at $5 right now, and it is freaking gorgeous, right? I've already bought a couple of these. I think that the holographic on it is awesome. I think this card has lots of opportunity. You'll see that it popped off a couple months ago and has steadily been climbing. So it is right at the $5 mark. Again, I have a couple of these in hand. It checks the beautiful artwork. It checks the opportunity, and it's a little outside of the realm of what we normally do. It is good to expand. It's good to widen your net a little bit. A PSA 10 population of 6. PSA 10 population of 6. PSA 10s are selling for about 170 bucks. I could only find one that sold, obviously, because it's a pop of 6. PSA 9 population is 69. Total population of 139. I've got a couple in the mail. The one I have now, I'm not going to send through to get graded. But if I get some that look good enough, I'm absolutely going to be sending these through. Super fun card to add to the collection, and I added this at the very end just because I thought it was a cool way to diversify a little bit. All right. And now, this Elisa Sparkle, okay, this card is something that I think is going to do amazingly well, and I'm going to show you why on the very next slide. But from 2021, PSA 10 population only 238. PSA 10s are going for 50 bucks. I just missed out on an auction for one last night. Really broke my heart. PSA 9 population of 180. Remember, when we see these ultra modern cards and we see a PSA 10 population higher than the PSA 9, that might lead us to believe that we have the opportunity to send them through and get graded. We have a better shot at PSA 10. Total population right around 500. It's a little over that $5 threshold, and it is on that upward into the right trajectory. Like if you look at the very end of this graph, you'll see that it has popped up significantly. But I do think that this card in the past has been in the $9 to $10 range. I absolutely think that it can get back to that point, and I think that if we don't pull the trigger now, we're going to look back and we're going to say, man, we missed the boat on this. So I think this is a beautiful card. I think this checks all the boxes. We know full art trainers, for the most part, full art trainers under $5 when they look like this tend to do really, really well. So I think this is an awesome buying opportunity, and I'm excited to add some of these to the old personal collection. Now, I told you, I think it was 7 weeks ago, 2 months ago, I did a 5 under 5 list. So I thought, let's do a quick synopsis of how those cards have performed. So these two cards at the bottom, I'll talk about them specifically. But I had Celebrations penny cards on there. They haven't moved a whole lot because they were Celebrations penny cards. There was a Lugia, the Pikachu, right? They were in like the 20, 15 cent range. And basically what I said was, hey, I'm gonna buy a ton of these and sock them away. And if they get to $1 someday, then I've made a ton of money, right? I also had the Pokemon Go Zard Reverse Holo on there. That's up 5%. So again, up 5% in a couple months is nothing to shake a fist at. Then I had the Mewtwo Sword and Shield Black Star Promo 229. That's from the Pogo Elite Trainer boxes, that's flat. It hasn't changed in value. But again, a card I think in the long run, once Pogo starts to become harder to find, I think Pogo cards are going to do much, much better. And then down here we have the Umbreon Black Star promo. Now this Umbreon Black Star promo, I am in love with this card. So this is from the 3-pack blister box, okay? It is up 9.5% over the last couple months. The PSA 10s are really, really low. There's only 181 of them, even though it's from 2021. And that's because in those 3-pack blisters, those promo cards are very hard to get in a good grade. Now the 10s are going for $100. The PSA 9 pop is about double the PSA 10 pop. Again, that just goes to double down on how hard it is to get these. But I love the fact that it's an Umbreon Black Star promo from a 3-pack blister from Evolving Skies, and I think this card is just going to absolutely continue to appreciate in value. You can see the graph when we originally did it. You can see the graph now. It has maintained value, gone up just a little bit, but I do think in the long run this is going to be an epic buy and hold. Now on the right there, you have this Shauna full art card. This card has absolutely popped off since the last video. It is up 48.9%. I think this card checks just like the Elisa Sparkle, which we just talked about. I think this card is a good representation of what the Elisa Sparkle might do in the long run. Now, PSA 10 population on this one of 166, going for $50. PSA 9 population of 128, overall population of 357. I think this is an awesome card to buy and hold in the long run, even though it has already started to see some price appreciation. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't get in now. Anything right around $5 I think is a great opportunity. All right, everybody, I hope that you enjoyed this. I know this went a little longer than I wanted, but I had so much to say about these awesome pieces of cardboard. I always want to spend twice as much time on the why as opposed to the what, so hopefully you guys feel really good if you're making any buying decisions based off of this in the future. Listen, if you made it to the end and you hadn't hit that subscribe button, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. If you like what you saw, give us a thumbs up. If you have questions or comments, drop them down below. And as always, I hope you guys have an epic week, and I can't wait to share that graded card with you on Wednesday. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye.